Welcome to my mod showcase. Before we begin, I'd like to thank Luinator and Forerunner for making this mod possible. The Engine and Trinkets Part Enhancement mod is an overhaul mod for Stormworks. It adds many things from new engines to certain modular engines, as well as some small blocks here and there that the community has requested of me. In this video, I'll be demonstrating and going over all of the kinks and all of the kinks and features of this mod pack, and there are quite a bit because Stormworks is it could be coded better. Let's just put it at that. Now let's begin. In version 0.1 of ETPEM, at launch there will be 3 engines, the 3 you see here. There are obviously more to come, but these are the ones the mod will be launching with. So the first engine is a inline 4, 15,000 power. Second engine is a radial 7 with 30,000. And the last one is a radial 14 with 70,000. In order to check these stats, they are available within the spawn menu, the build menu. All the information on them is in here, everything you need to know, as well as descriptions for them. Each engine is paintable, as you can see. For the inline 4, it's the valve cover. For the radial, it's the tappets, and for the large, it's the piston heads. We will be going over the miscellaneous parts. So first up is a small propeller. This one is, there is no blocks or anything attached to it, so this one should be much better to put on smaller builds. This also goes with an outboard system, which I'll be showing later. It's also colorable. The next is an air intake for aircraft, but it can be used for other things. Next is an aircraft exhaust, which again can be used for other things. Doesn't have to be an aircraft, but that's what it was modeled for. Next we have a smaller hinge. This hinge was made again for the outboard system, but can be used for anything else. In the editor, it can be painted. Both sides are 2 different meshes. Next we have the special transition blocks, which are blocks but they're meshed. So these blocks cannot be colored per face like the normal ones. They are colored by the entire block. But some faces can be colored individually. It's a game limitation. Since I cannot hardcode new blocks, this is the best I can do with my knowledge. Next, I'll be going over the modular engine system for large marines. Now, when I say modular, it's not actually modular. It's really more of you're just putting a lot of engines together and they're connected by pipes. Now, because of some Stormworks limitations, there is quite a bit of jank with this system. Once real modular engines come out, all of this will be migrated over to that code. But for now, we have multiple parts, which are all laid out here. So going from the left to the right, we have a piston cover with 2 size pistons. One is a small, one is a large. We have an inline crankcase adapter, some smaller spacers, a VR case, a V case, and a W case with slanted pistons to go along with it. So over here we have a V8 mock-up, which actually does work, and I'll show you it after in the video. We have an inline 4, same thing. I will now demonstrate how to assemble a marine modular engine. Now, due to some Stormworks limitations, there is a little bit of jank when assembling these engines. So, first you start with a crankcase or any other part, and you'll notice that there are holes in the mesh. This is because only the center part of the mesh is the pipe. This is because, as far as I know, you cannot have multi-block pipes. The game just doesn't support it for whatever reason. Instead, I've left the interior of the mesh open so you can place pipes inside in order to complete the crankcase. And then you just create your engine how you want. I'll make a inline 4. You then, I actually messed up here. You then create the crankcases. These smaller spacers, because they are only 1 block long, do work as intended. They don't require any special anything. Next, you'll want to place down some pistons. These are large pistons with quite a bit of power, I believe 70,000. These are your exhaust ports on your bottom here. And over here we have coolant, which feeds to each other engine. So you can daisy chain your engines without problem. Like such. So the coolant from one engine is going to go into the other, and then into the other, and then into the other. And from there you can pump into your cooling system. Now, if you want to have covers on your pistons, you can. And there is a small hole. From here, we get into a little bit more jank territory. Due to an unknown bug, which plagues actually a lot of the engines of this mod, a pipe network needs to have minimum 2 air intakes on that network in order for the network to actually work. Meaning, you need 2 air ports, air intakes, whatever you put for air, connected to one pipe per engine. So this will not work, but this will. So long as one engine has access to 2 air intakes minimum, it will work. I don't know why. And then you would connect these pipes to your fuel system as normal. Connect your exhausts. Make sure to connect all of them, because sometimes, because there are 4 pipes, sometimes some of them don't work. Again, don't know why. So connect them all up. Oops, come on, there we go. More Stormworks being janky. Once you've connected them all up, you can put an exhaust, if I could find it. There we go. You can connect it to cooling. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to, but you probably should if you're doing it yourself. These engines do get very hot if you don't put cooling. Now, in order to start this engine, because all these engines are linked, you only actually need to start one of the pistons. However, all of the pistons need to have a throttle input on them, or else only that piston will have power, which allows you to turn off some pistons when you're using them. If I go ahead and spawn it, you'll see that this engine will work as intended. Oh, both of the exhausts are working on this one. That's good to see. Now we'll be looking over at the outboard system. Now, this is just the first parts we'll be releasing with, but there will be more engines, probably different style footers and whatnot, but for now this is what we start with. Just to go over, most of my custom engines, actually I believe all of my custom engines, do have custom sounds. They're just unable to be heard in the video. So, in order to set up one of these engines, first you need to connect the fuel. The fuel can be connected with one of my tiny fluid hinges. You can just connect it like that. So this will allow your engine to rotate and provide it with fuel. In fact, this is what this hinge was designed for. Now, this engine is plagued with the air bug, as I dubbed it, which is a very, very unique name, which means that you need 2 air intakes in order for this to work. Now, the air intake for this engine is actually hidden inside the engine, right here. This is because you can't have a separate air intake for this engine internally. It has to be an exterior part. But it also lets people do what they want. You could, for some reason, I don't know, hook a pump and have air being forced into the engine for whatever reason. And if you use the air intakes, it creates a nice little effect. Again, this engine is colorable, and you can, I don't know, do something like that if you want. Next, you need to put an exhaust, which on this engine is right on the side here, on the bottom, right there. Now you might be wondering, where are the coolant? This engine does not have coolant. So in order to stop it from overheating, you'll need to either throttle the engine or stop it from running too high of an RPS. Next, you choose one of these many footers, or shafts, whatever you want to call them. I call them footers because why not? I'm not a boat person, I don't know. So there are different lengths. You have 1 meter, 75 centimeters, and 50 centimeters. This is just for different lengths. There will be more in the future, but I believe this is good for now. So if you want a really small one, you can go. Also, if you want, you can actually stack them. I wouldn't recommend it, but you know, I'm not your mom. And then next, once you've picked one, you want to choose, currently there's only one, but you want to choose a end cap. And there you go. You put a propeller on, which if I go ahead and grab one right here, you now have a complete outboard engine. And this is fully self-contained, meaning that these shafts here are actually gearboxes, so this will allow you to go forwards at a good speed and backwards at a speed. And the end cap here is actually a clutch, which will allow your engine to actually idle without spinning the prop. As I close off the showcase, I'd just like to show you guys one last thing. So, the small radio has covers in order to create more compact aircraft designs. Now, these covers come in many different shapes and forms. This is type 1, I believe. And we also have type 2, which is a slightly, I guess, less detailed one. I actually put on sideways. Whoops. And these will act as pipes. In fact, they're just remeshed pipes, so there will be no issues. Is that lined up? Yeah, it is. There you go. Of course, this is recolorable as well. You can make it ugly green. These exhausts are also attached to the bottom of the radial 7 here. Air intake comes off the side, and the fuel comes here in the back. Now there are also new radiator. Okay, let me change this color because it's absolutely dreadful. There we go. These radiators have cutouts. Sorry, not this is. This is a cover adapter for a radiator. They have these cutouts here. And if I go over to the radiators, which are all the way down here, we have 3 types. This is a one that just pops up onto the rear, like so. We have a inline one, so you can put this inline with blocks, as so. We also have a completely standalone one, which is just the two put together. So this will allow you to make much nicer cooling systems, and you can also use this as a scoop for your car if you want. I will now be showing off some examples of my mod being used. The first is this boat created by Gemini 2004. I have stuck on my outboards on the back of this. Next we have kind of a meme. This is the Ricer Plus with some of the scoops on this car. Is just air hood scoop and roof scoop. Next we have one of my favorite aircraft, actually, the ME264. I'll have to do this one justice by actually spawning it in. This custom window you see will not be available in the mod. This was a one-off I made for this vehicle specifically. However, if it's a popular request, I will make more window pieces for bombers and stuff like that. So I go into photo mode. You can see how you can make a very nice engine by assembling everything together here. So you've got the cover, you've got the inline air radiator, exhaust, and these radiators appear to work very, very well. This engine at full power only gets to around 87 degrees, which is, in my opinion, very good. Next, we have the Maradoni, another one of my favorites. This one actually runs off of 2 inline 4s. As you can see, neatly stuffed in there. Very nice aircraft to fly. Now, here's what you can expect for the future. More engines, more propeller types, more modular stuff, more outboards, more blocks, possibly more windows. I do have a very big list which you can find in the mod files. I have a to-do so you can see what I have planned. If something you want isn't there, you can always DM me on Discord and I'll add it to the list. But before I end the video, I'd just like to show one last thing. These are the first set of propellers. There will be 3 sizes. This is the smallest. There will be one slightly smaller than the default and one slightly bigger than default. These propellers just look better. That's all they really do. But I also have, if you saw, 2 contra sets. So how these work is you place contra set A, which is the first propeller. Then you place contra set B. But as you can see, it places it in advance here. Now, you can see a small little face right there that indicates the input side. If I can figure out which rotate, there you go. You place it there. So this power received is on the side here. You will then back it up by selecting the part in the copy and paste thing here, selection grid. Move cut, slide it back into position, paste, merge. And now you have a fully working contra prop. Now I can't do anything about this gap. I've tried to get rid of it, but the game gets mad at me when I do. These two kind of smash into each other. So there has to be at least one block gap. Now, for reference, if I can find the aircraft propeller, there we go. You can see it is much, much smaller. So this propeller is good for, I don't know, maybe cruise missiles and things of that sort. But there will be a bigger version of this propeller out, probably next version. So yeah, thanks for downloading the mod, thanks for taking a look at it, and probably update you some other time. Goodbye.